Welcome along to this video presentation on Office 365 public website. My name is Robert Crane and let's get started. So for this short video we'll have a look at what Office 365 is quickly, what SharePoint Online is, how that fits into Office 365. Then we'll dive into the public website and then spend most of the time doing the demo. So a quick overview of what Office 365 is. It's a number of services delivered from Microsoft via their data centers. These products include Exchange Online, Link Online, SharePoint Online, and also the ability to have Office desktop applications installed from the product. Okay, so the Office 365 product has a number of different plans. The first of these is the Small Business Suites. These are the P1 and the P2 plans. The difference there is the P2 plan includes the ability to install Office on the desktop. A step up from there is the mid-size Business Suites. That's basically the M plans. From there we move into the Enterprise Suites, which include the E1, E3 and E4. The main difference between the E1 and the E3 is that the E3 provides more functionality around Exchange and SharePoint as well as Link. And what many people don't realize is that Office 365 does include standalone plans, so that means you can buy a standalone version of Exchange if you want, just for emails, or a standalone version of SharePoint if that's all you need. Important to remember that the standalone plans are considered enterprise or E plans. Okay, so SharePoint Online is a component of Office 365. Basically, it is available in the standalone or via the suites. It's a product that's designed for collaboration, so it brings together calendar, contacts, files, document management, all those sort of things that teams need to work together. When you get SharePoint Online, you get a single internal site collection pre-configured. On the P plans, that's all you'll be able to allocate. So you'll get a single internal site collection already pre-configured, ready to go if you've purchased a P or a small business plan. However, if you've gone for an M plan, then you will be able to add up to 20 additional site collections. So these are individual sites that can have their own identity, their own securities. So you can have 20 of those on an M plan, and as you can see for an E plan you can have up to 10,000 internal sites. So the general delineation is that the internal site is used for collaboration with people who have an Office 365 subscription within your business. You'll also see that with every version of SharePoint Online, each plan comes with one public website. Okay, so whether that's a P, an M or an E plan, basically you will all receive a single public site collection, which is basically a SharePoint site that you can make available to anonymous internet users. So the public website collection, basically it by default is only available to Office 365 users. So existing Office 365 users within your tenant who are licensed for SharePoint can go and visit that website, update it, change it, do whatever. By default, it's not publicly available until you select the option to make it available to anyone on the internet. Okay, so we'll show you how to do that shortly. So again, the important thing with public site collection to remember is that under the hood, it's basically all SharePoint. So you can use the same sort of tools, the same sort of commands that you use with your internal websites, with the team sites, to customize and improve your public website. Now, one of the differentiations at the moment is that the public website also allows you to allocate a vanity or a custom domain to that site. So at the moment, internal SharePoint sites are your tenantname.sharepoint.com, whereas your public website could also be set to be www.whateverdomainyouwant.com. Okay, so with that in mind, let's kick into a demo. Okay, so what I've done here is I've logged into my Office 365 portal as an administrator. What you need to do to get to SharePoint is you go up to the menu bar at the top and you select the Sites option. So what that's going to give us is basically a list of our internal and our external sites. So I'm currently on an E3 plan here. So I already have pre-configured an internal SharePoint site. So if I click on that, you'll see this will take me to the standard SharePoint team site with all the SharePoint 2013 interface. Okay, so we can see here this is the standard interface for our internal sites. Now if I go back and go to the public website, so what we'll now see is this is basically very similar to SharePoint, but you'll notice there are some differences here, and again we have the option to make this content public. But before we get into that, what I'm going to do basically is show you how to administer this public website. So again, you can do that as long as you're logged in as an administrator. You can go up here to admin and you can select SharePoint, and then what it'll do, it will take you into this manage area of SharePoint admin. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got a list of our public websites, so you can see the URL there, and a number of internal websites. So if I wanted to create a new site collection, I go up to here on the new button. I can certainly create a new private site collection, because on the E plan I can create up to 10,000 of these. However, because I already have a public website, I obviously can't create another one. So what I can also do is, obviously, if I select one of these existing sites, I can, for example, I could go in and delete it. I can go in and look at its properties. I can set who the owners are and make site collection administrators. I can determine the external sharing, but importantly I can also set, for example, the storage quota. So when I sign up for SharePoint Online, I'm allocated a certain amount of storage. I can then provision that across the sites that I have. So here I can increase the amount of space that I have simply by increasing that number. Okay, so again, you'll also notice there's a button here, so people who are still using the Wave 14, the older version of Office 365, can choose to upgrade their interface to the newer 2013 look and feel. And again, if I select my public website, you'll see that again I can control the domains that are allocated to this website. So at the moment I only have the standard Microsoft domain. Once I add a vanity domain, I can certainly allocate that. So again, important to remember that this admin area allows you to go in and do more high-level configuration of your site. This control panel is currently only available to people who are on an M or an E plan. Alright, so if we jump back to our site here, what you'll see basically is that in the top right hand corner over here we have an option here to make the website online. So at the moment the website is offline, only our internal users can see it, but if we want to change that we need to go through that process. But what we'll do first is we'll make some changes to the website. So we can do this via the browser here. So what we can do is select the Site tab, and that will bring down the familiar ribbon interface. So what we'll do first is select the change the look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the overall appearance of this site. Now SharePoint Online here contains a number of pre-canned templates we can use. So again, you'll see the list here that I can select from. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to select a coffee themed site. So again, once I select that, you'll see that it gives me a preview of what it's going to look like. Over here on the left I have the background image, which I can easily change or remove if I want. I can select my color scheme, so I can select from a number of different color schemes that go with this theme. I can change the site layout. So again, as I move through these different options, you'll see that the layout of the site changes, but I'm happy with what it is at the moment. And down the bottom I can also go in here and select any different fonts to give it a different appeal if I want. But once I'm happy with that, what I'll do here is I'll go to the try it out option in the top right here. This will now apply those changes that I've selected to my site and give me again a preview of what it looks like with my content. So this will take a few short moments to actually render for me. It will come back and display that, and then give me the option either to accept that and apply that to all the pages throughout my site, or go back and edit it. So this is my full featured preview of exactly how my site will appear with the content that I've created. So it looks good to me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to elect to keep that. It will now apply that formatting across all the pages of my public website. So again, that'll take a minute or two obviously to render that and update all the pages on the site for me. So now that it brings us back to the site, you'll see that I've got the look and the feel, I've got the background image, all that sort of stuff. So again, what I can do is go back to site and continue editing my complete site. So now let me go in here and select the option to update the title. So we'll call our website My Coffee Shop. What I can do is I can go in here and also do things like change the logo. I can edit the menu structure here, so I can change this menu structure, the side elements, the search box. But you'll notice the last option here is if I click that, which is Edit Style Sheet, I can actually go in and adjust the CSS to change the look and the feel of the page. So if I want to get into the low-level HTML and CSS coding, I can certainly do that through the web interface. So again, I can go in, make changes here, and then save those changes. Now what you'll notice here is that I have a save and publish and a save. So the website, public website here in Office 365 is developed using the SharePoint publishing technology, which means basically I can save it, but before it goes live it needs to be approved or effectively published so that it is public. So what I'm going to do here is save and publish, which will save and then push out those changes immediately. Right, so what we've also got, again, these are all the options that allow me to edit my site. So now if I start going through the pages, you'll see if I go to About Us, it's got the same look and feel, I would have the same fonts. So those changes that I make under site, so the name of the site, remain consistent across that, that SharePoint site. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my home page and I'm going to select the page option, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the page into edit mode. So what I'm now doing is I'm going to make changes to the individual page. So what I'm going to do, you'll see that when I put it into edit mode I get the familiar ribbon interface. So again, if I go over the text here, you'll see that the formatting changes immediately to give me a preview of what it would look like. I've got the standard word processor style controls, bold, italics, underline. I've also got a spell checker here, and again on the right I have the option if I want to go in and actually edit the HTML source. So you don't necessarily need a third-party tool to go in there and start working on the raw HTML if you want to get down to that coding level. So what I'm going to do here is simply delete this text and put in some more. Okay. Now what I can do, you'll notice here that up the top I have an insert tab. So if I select that, I can now insert a number of different elements. I can insert a table or a picture. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert a picture that is currently on my machine. So I will simply browse to that location and I will pick up that image, which I've got here. It will then be uploaded to the document library called Site Assets, and that will mean it will be available to everybody on the internet. So that'll take a minute obviously to upload the picture depending on the size of the image and also your bandwidth. So once it's done that, you'll notice that this is a very, very large image. It's currently 1100 pixels. So what I can do is, because I have the image selected, you'll notice that the handles are highlighted on the image, but I get a ribbon that's contextual with properties for that image. So again, if I select off the image, you'll see that that ribbon changes. Once I select back on it, you'll notice that another tab appears across the top. If I select image, I can now go in and maybe make this a lot more adjustable. So I'll make that 300 pixels. That looks much better. Now what I also want to do here is I'll put go underneath the picture. Again, I can go back to my insert, and what I can do is you'll see that I also have the ability to import a map. So I can take a map from Bing Maps. I can also create a hyperlink. I can also elect to upload a file, so maybe I can embed a PDF menu for my site directly in the page. So again, people can just click on that and it will download. I also have the ability to create reusable content. So what we mean by reusable content is if you have a copyright notice or something that needs to appear on all the pages or on a regular basis, you can create that and then reuse that across your pages. So when you choose to update that, you update it once and it will apply across all the locations that you have put it. So again, what I can also do here, for example, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go video and audio. I'm going to embed a video. So what it does now is it pops up a box and asks me for the embed code. So if I now pop across to, for example, YouTube, and I go into share and then the embed option, you'll see that it gives me some text here that I can take and put into my site. So if I paste that embed code into the SharePoint menu there, you'll see that it gives me a preview. I'm happy with that. I insert that and you'll see that that now appears on my page. Once I've done that, if I go back to page, I need to save. So if I don't want to save any edits, I can pull this menu down and stop editing, and that will cancel all my edits. I want to actually save and publish. So what I want to do is select the second option here, which will save the page and then update the changes for me. So now you can see that I have my image installed, I have my embedded video. So if I now click on that, you'll see that that now plays directly from the internet. So quite a handy little option, and I did that all via the web interface. I didn't have to go in and basically use a third-party tool to achieve that. So what we can also do, for example, is if we go to the About page here, what we're going to do is we're going to edit this page. So I go to the Page tab again. What I'm going to do is to edit the page, and then what I will do is insert. So what I need to do is just locate where I want to insert that. So let's put it down the bottom here, and I'm going to add a social plugin. Okay, so if you aren't aware, SharePoint contains now an online store. So again, this will throw you into the SharePoint store where developers have uploaded a number of different applications and web parts and widgets that you can add to SharePoint. One of the options you'll find on the left-hand side is the public-facing website. So if we select that to categorize what we're after, we'll notice here that there is a Facebook integration web part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that. It's free, so I'm going to add that into my web part. I firstly need to trust that that external code in my site, so I'm happy to do that. I select trust, and that will now add that component to my SharePoint site. Okay, so what you'll see here now is under the site contents in the apps, you'll see that it's currently grayed out. In a minute or two, you'll see that it goes to normal color, indicating that it has been successfully installed. So if I click on that component, what it will do is it will give me all the options for that. So make sure when you do add a third-party app into your page that you go in here and make sure you enable the features there. So I need to firstly turn those on, and that's now made all the features of that plugin basically active. So that's great. That's back on my page. So what I want to do is go back to my site here and go back to my About page. Okay, so that is actually back over here. So what I'm going to do is simply go back to page, and I'm going to save and stop editing. Okay, just show you that I'm going to cancel all my edits. Go back. It's going to give me an error, which is not good. So let me go back to this page and go into the page now, and let's edit that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to go down here, add some space. I'm going to go to Insert. Now what we can do is that web part that we've added basically will now appear here under our list of categories. So in this case, we've added a social plugin, we've added a Facebook web part, and what I'm going to do is add the Facebook like button. So I simply select that, go add. That component that's actually been developed by a third party will be added into my page, and then I'll be able to use and display it. Okay, so now that we see while the page is still in edit mode, you'll see that the Facebook like button appears here as a standard web part. So what I need to do now is to save and publish that, and that will then save the changes I've made to the page, push all the updates out, and you'll see here now down the bottom I have the ability to like this page. So again, this is a third-party application directly added into SharePoint. Again, you can choose many applications from the SharePoint store. Now what we want to do is to make this website live, so we go into the top right hand corner here, we click on the option to make website online. It now says that the website is offline currently. Do we want to make it online? We certainly do. So we select the option. Do you want to make it online? Yes, I certainly do, because again, don't forget, this will make all that information publicly available. And now that website is available via either the standard Microsoft URL, but it can also be available via a vanity URL if you choose to add that. Now, don't forget that under all the covers, this is basically SharePoint. So if I go into the top right hand, you'll see that I can go into site settings, and again, we're looking at the standard SharePoint. So again, we've got people and groups, the permissions, the recycle bin. So again, these is basically standard SharePoint. Okay, so again, very easy to work with, but as soon as I go back to home, as you see, it will apply the look and the feel to me. So again, the pages here basically are just stored as raw HTML pages in a document library. So again, if I select page and then go to the option here, view all pages, you'll see that it gives me a list of all the pages. So the about us, the contact us, and again, these are simply HTML pages in a document library. We can certainly add to them, we can work with them as normal SharePoint documents. Again, so under the covers of all this, it is SharePoint. So again, hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea about how the public website does work, how easy it is to work with. You can, of course, customize it with a with the web interface, but you can also use a third-party tools. Many standard HTML editors, Dreamweaver and the like, can be used with SharePoint Online here, because underneath the covers it is it conforms to all the HTML, JavaScript, CSS style standards. So again, you can certainly spend a lot of time creating a really good website here. A good example that I can give you is if you go out and visit www.contosobistro.com. This will give you a really good example of what is possible with the public website. So this contosobistro.com is a public-facing website that was basically edited and updated and customized using mostly the web interface. So have a look at contoso.bistro.com as a great example of what is possible with the public website. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the demo. I thank you very much for spending the time and watching what has been presented. If you have any questions, again, my name is Robert Crane. My contact details are director@ciaops.com, and you can keep up to date with everything that's going on with Office 365 that I'm doing at my blog, which is blog.ciaops.com. And with that, I thank you very much for watching.